I'm here with Joe Caddick, and we're going to talk a little more about the ship that sank. Is it the Dakota, correct, sir?
Correct.
And you were
SS Dakota.
SS Dakota, and you had said that you were able to be fortunate enough with some of your diver friends to recover some stuff off of that shipwreck. Could you kind of tell us maybe a little bit about how deep the shipwreck and what you recovered?
Yeah, the ship was in about 60 feet of water. She slipped in basically a whole ship, and as she decomposed, she was more or less in the same condition as she slipped in. Just the plates started to fall off, and basically after 100 and odd years, you can imagine a lot of the plates had got flattened, so all you saw was like a scrappy down there for a long one. And we went on a dive on it just to see what it was like, and we used to dive around, and then we were finding pieces of pottery, and we thought, oh, this is interesting. I wonder if we can find any which are not broken. And as we looked around, we went under some plates and put our hands to see what was there. And you have to be very careful because hunger eels are there as well, and these things have flipping big teeth. And if you're not careful, they'll bite you.
Now, are those similar to moray eels or a different species altogether? Or?
A different species, but very similar in size and very just as open.
Okay.
So, I mean, one instance, while we were looking for stuff, I saw what I thought was a lead pipe. I hit it with my hammer, and it wriggled. And I realised that was a pretty big eel. So, fortunately, it decided to go under the plate, and I left it there and continued my dive somewhere else. I didn't want to make friends with it.
Right. Understand.
But yeah, you have to be very careful. So further down, we found more of these bits of pottery, and put my hand on it. It seemed that there was, you could feel about, like you ever see plates together and they all have a ridge. Put your hand across like a ridge. I did that, and I found that was happening because I think we found a case of pottery here. So basically, we worked on this for a while, and then we started to get the pottery out.
Okay.
Plates, and basically it was the boxes that they've been stowed in, shipped. They were still in there, but the box disappeared. Obviously, it rotted away. But the straw was still there. When you got the plates out, you got pieces of straw.
So did they pack the plates with straw in order to transport them?
To protect the plates.
Now, what year did that ship sink?
She went down in 1877.
Okay. And
the plates were probably made in 76.
Okay.
And they were made by a fan called Charles Meakin of Burslem down the Stoke-on-Trent.
Okay.
And the reason we know this is they've got a stamp on the back side, and there's a bit of history about it as well, which is very interesting. So we know where it come from, and we know the year they were made.
Right.
The ship itself, like I say, she was constructed in 74, and of course she sank in 77.
Right.
She had American owners, American owned, and obviously she was on the Liverpool New York run, and not very successful because she couldn't attain the speed she was designed for.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. People still sailed it, and they loved the voyage. But unfortunately, because of the accident, where we've gained from it, and as much as we found pottery, which is 143 years old, and all kinds of different types of pottery.
Now, what depth did you recover this at, Joe?
Okay, it was mainly at 60 foot that we found it. Although the wreck can go up to about 20 foot, bits of the wreck, but where we find in the pottery was in the hole, and that was about 60 feet.
Okay, so you weren't using any special gas, you were just using air when you were diving for this?
Just using ordinary air, and we found that that was the best way to do it. You did your bottom time, your stops, and we had a line from our boat direct to where we were working. So we didn't waste any air or any time trying to find the place all the time. We knew exactly where it was, and every time we went there, we dropped the boat hoop right in the same place.
Now, out of all the pottery that you recovered, do you have a favorite piece that you like the best? Like, do you have something that you really liked or enjoyed more than the other pieces?
I think probably the nicest piece is a coffee pot.
Okay.
With a lid, it's like a teapot, but it's a coffee pot.
Okay.
And that's probably the nicest one we found. It's very delicate, and how it survived, I don't know. But we were lucky enough to find it, one piece, and that was probably the nicest piece. Although we had lots of dishes and lots of other things.
Now, you had mentioned to me before that you had problems with the plates splitting before. When they came up, didn't you have to do something to make sure that they were okay?
Right. When we brought them up, we weren't quite sure on what we should do. But for safety's sake, we put them in fresh water, and then we went to the museum and we asked their advice. And they says, yeah, keep in fresh water, or keep changing the fresh water, so it will soak the salt out of the plates, because unfortunately the plates will absorb the salt water, but you need to get it back out again, because when they dry and when they if you leave them in the air, they'll start to explode somewhere. So we were aware of that, and it did happen to a few pieces that we didn't treat so well.
Gotcha.
We thought we treated them long enough, and then we found that it wasn't long enough, and they were starting to explode. But only a few at a time we did like that, so we got to a point where they were okay.
Now, Joe, did you have any problems with any government interference with trying to remove any of the plates or anything like that?
Fortunately, no, because we reported immediately to what we call the receiver of wreck, which is what we use in the UK. If you find any wreckage anywhere, you have to report it to the customs officer, who called the receiver of wreck. And we did that. And of course, they don't have facilities to look after the stuff that divers find. So what they will say is, right, you've registered, you've logged it with us, now you go and look after it, and if we need to come back to you because the owner or someone's making a claim, we know where to find you. And that's what they used to do, and that's what we've done for many, many years. I think it still goes on now.
Perfect. Joe, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, and I thank you for sharing your story. And I'm sure we'll have a couple more chats after this, but I'm sure this is great information for the future. I appreciate it.